What's up, guys? I'm finally back. We got everything rolling in the shop and things are set up finally. So I thought we'd do a live stream today. We're not going to do anything too spectacular. We're just going to make some hybrids, but I thought let's start the new year off a little slow with just some kind of simple hybrids and kind of show off the new shop setup. It's pretty much almost done. I have a few other things that I actually need to get, and everything will be pretty much done. I'm super happy with it so far. So I'll kind of get into it and kind of show you guys around a little bit. I am going to do a full shop tour video and really kind of dive into what I did and why I did certain things. And I don't know, this was a pretty long process, as most of you guys know. And I really kind of dug in. I knew that I wanted to spend time and, fix little inefficiencies and things that were kind of bugging me about the shop before. And hopefully, we got a couple other things, but hopefully the new casting area will be a little bit more friendly for shooting video, a little bit more lighting. I still need to get new lights, so today's not going to be the most bright kind of thing, but I think everything's going to be pretty cool. So welcome to the stream. Hope everybody had a very happy Christmas and New Year, and you guys are all looking forward to 2020. I know I am. So let's stop real quick and see people are already showing up. What's up, guys? Sweet. Lots of people. You shouldn't be here. You need to be sleeping. Well, thanks for joining us, Donna. If you need to bail out, we don't mind. We understand. There'll be a replay of this a little bit later on if you want to check in and if you want to get some sleep before work. But again, thank you guys all for showing up. Happy 2020. So real quick before we start, I have one little announcement. Many of you guys might have heard already or maybe going. There's going to be a pen turner gathering in Southern California, so kind of the LA area. And that's going to be February 29th and March 1st. So let me go. I already pre-opened up their website. If you are interested in going and want to learn more about it, here's a link to that in the chat. And I'll put a link down in the show notes after I get this thing replayed, the replay up. But that's going to be pretty fun. I'm going to be doing a little Q&A panel with a couple of other pen blank casters. So it should be a pretty cool event, especially for those of us that are kind of, Colorado, Texas, and West. There's not a whole lot of these types of events, to go to. So I'm super stoked about it. It's going to be really fun. And I know that, there's actually a Facebook group too. I don't have the link to that offhand. I'll try and get that in the show notes later. But lots of people in that group. Everybody's pretty excited. So if you can make it out, I highly recommend it. It's going to be pretty fun, I think. So just wanted to mention that. And I'm wearing my Maker Central beanie because we still haven't gotten our heater fixed. The landlord we can't get a hold of, and who knows what's going on. We've been making do, but a little bit chilly in the shop today. So I'm wearing my Maker Central beanie, but that's coming up in May also. So I'm not going to go through the dates and all that stuff, but I will be going to that. We got our plane tickets already, so I'm looking forward to it. So you like this shirt? I love this. My wife got me this. No mistakes, happy accidents. Everybody loves Bob Ross. So I pulled this out. I actually found this. It kind of got buried in clothes in the shop. Pulled it out, and I thought I'm going to wear this today because there's all kinds of happy accidents that happen in my shop. So I guess I'm going to use that camera. Right now I have things kind of totally packed with cameras over here and wires. So I'm going to have to be a little bit careful, but I'm going to grab that camera and kind of show you around. I have the other two cameras set up that are kind of perfect, I think, for the casting stuff. I guess real quick, before I get into anything else, and let me try this. I have kind of a new setup, so I may be a little bit kind of rusty on what I'm doing here. So there's the new view. Let me get my viewfinder looking at me so I can show you. So what I have here are a few a few burl chunks. They were die stabilized. Well, these were die stabilized. These were just regular stabilized. And I thought we could make some blanks. So I got everything kind of set up. It'll be kind of simple today, but it'll be kind of a fun one because you guys, do I need to, no, that does fit, okay. You guys can help me pick colors for the resin. So I thought that would be kind of fun. And I've needed to add some hybrids to my short run section on my website. So a lot of times you can kind of see that these are just kind of sharp angles. A lot of times I'll go to a sander. I have a belt and disc sander and a spindle sander, and kind of add some kind of shapes onto this to make it look a little bit more like natural live edge. today I think we're just gonna leave it. Honestly, I almost always shape these things like that, and I never really just kind of leave them the way that they are. So these pieces are, I can't even get this thing out of here now. There we go. These guys are a little bit, I kind of rounded things over a little bit just because of the way I cut them. So let's just kind of see what we get. I think it'll be kind of fun. I don't think they're going to be bad in any way, you know. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm actually going to toss these into the oven and start heating these up. These have just been sitting out and it's kind of cold in the shop. So can you guys see my oven? Let me try this other view. I have another, do you see that up in the corner? I thought I'd try adding this view where you can kind of see the pressure pots and kind of see what I'm doing up in the corner while I'm casting, and we can kind of switch back and forth, see if that works out or not. But I'm gonna toss these guys in the oven, turn it on. I'm actually just gonna toss the whole mold in there. I also need my hot glue gun, so I'm gonna get that out, get it plugged in. Pretty nice. I'm pretty stoked about the new casting area. I think things are gonna be, I'm still getting used to things because they've moved, you know. But I think I'm gonna enjoy, once I've gotten used to everything, I think it's gonna go pretty smooth. So let me see here. Kevin's here. What's up, man? Lots of people. So Rex is from Florida. Actually, I wanted to mention that also. If you guys want to do a little bit of a shout out where you guys are from, I always love that. You know, one thing that I love about these live streams and like YouTube, the internet, the whole thing, it's so cool how many different places people can come and join the fun from. So if you want to give a little shout out in the comments, definitely do that. I always love seeing that. So yeah, all the regulars are here, it looks like. Sweet. You like that dual view? Cool. Yeah, I thought a lot of times you don't need to see what I'm doing. It doesn't need to be like up close, but it is kind of nice to see what I'm, you know, see the movements. So I thought I'd kind of toss that up in the corner. And the other thing is, the only thing you're going to be missing is like me. It's not covering any of the action up there. So anyway, I thought that'd be kind of fun. So let me grab the camera and I'll kind of give you a little bit of a kind of tour, let's say. It'll be kind of a quick one, but I'll kind of give you guys an idea of what is happening here in the shop. Now I can't see, unfortunately, I can't see the camera, like the angle, what I'm showing you guys, but I'll try to back up and kind of pan out a little bit. And so, as you can see, this was there before, and I basically took out everything else. And I wanted to get where I'm actually standing and casting out more into the middle of the shop because my lights are over there. And I'm also going to be adding 8 foot, or like basically adding another 4 foot on the end of these. So it should be a lot brighter. I realized that I used to stand up against that wall and there's absolutely no lighting. I mean, like I'm standing in the dark basically. And so since casting is my 100% of like mainly what I do, I thought light would be probably pretty good. The other problem I had was the cameras, getting camera angles. You know, there's only a few sides when you're standing up against a wall. So another thing that I did was I added, like I said, I can't see what I'm actually showing you because the monitor's somewhere else, but I repurposed the same things that I had the pressure pots on, but I decided to try cutting out this table. So I have an adjustable table. I got this from Home Depot. So the cool thing about that is, depending on, one problem you run into is the height of your casting area. You know, you really kind of want to dial that in. And so if you can just get an adjustable table, you don't have to completely rebuild things every time you want to change it. Thought that'd be cool. But I cut out a little slot so that I can get into my pressure pots like directly right there. And then the other ones over there, I actually like turning to, it's kind of weird. I like turning to the left. I'm used to doing that. So I left 2 of them over there, but this makes things a little bit kind of nice just being right in front of me. So I wanted to also do that just to see how it felt and offer that as kind of maybe, you know, something to think about for you guys in your casting area. And then another thing that I did was I added a lot of toolboxes. So I got one under the casting area, and I'll give you kind of a shot of what's in there. You guys probably remember every time I would need to pull out my Caster's Choice micas, or like most things, glitter, I would have to go walk over to this thing behind me and get them way over there. So I decided, wouldn't it be smarter if I had storage for all of my mica powders and all that stuff? Come on, stand up there. So I got a huge drawer. Obviously, I have lots of room to add more. And just kind of random stuff. Let's see, am I showing you guys? Are you seeing what's happening here? Where's the angle? How am I? There we go. So I just got some random stuff in here. Another random drawer. But obviously I still have more to kind of fill in here. But these toolboxes are really awesome. All my molds are right at hand. So I don't know. Storage was one of the main reasons that I did some changing around. And so you can kind of see over in the lathe area, there's another toolbox right there. Let's see, yeah, you can kind of see it. Another one on the corner here, and then a big one over there. All of these are on wheels. And then I turned the lathe the other way. And you can maybe see behind it, there's a dust collector. I'm going to try and really collect as much dust as I can at the lathe from now on. I'm tired of my shop being covered in dust when I'm turning stuff. And then the rest of the shop is just kind of rearranged. I really scrunched all the machines into like one corner. And that's going to make things a little bit easier to clean up. But overall, the weird thing is I've added a bunch of stuff to my shop, but there's like way more room somehow. I don't know how, but I'm very happy with it so far. And so that's what's happening, guys. Let's get this thing fixed up again. So let's stop real quick, see what's going on in the chat here. Yeah, the drawers. I'm telling you guys, I'm actually waiting on a couple extra things. So behind me, I got a lot of drawers. I added lots of like, pull-out drawers for tools and things like that. The other thing that I needed was just like storage, like locker type, cabinet type things. So I have one coming. I actually just picked it up today. One's going to be going right on this wall. It'll fit right here, and it'll kind of hold all the casting random, cups and supplies and stuff like that. So there's one cabinet going there. Another one's going over there. And then I actually have a third one, and these are pretty big cabinets. It's just nice. I'll be able to kind of put stuff away. That's one of the things that I didn't have before, was I would just like leave stuff out, or I had open shelving. And so those days when you were making a giant dust mess in the shop, it just got out of control. Like it was everywhere. So got things hopefully kind of fixed up, and I'm pretty happy with it. It took a long time though, unfortunately. Lost my pinky. You got one of those hats? One of these? Which one? A Maker Central beanie? I got this at Maker Central. It was pretty sweet. Let's see. I don't know where she got this shirt, but probably like on Amazon or something like that. Yeah, Jimmy, it is a nice, I'm very happy with this space now. One problem that I've had, I've wanted to do a full-size resin river table for a long time. And you guys remember that table, this assembly table, was kind of right here, I guess, sort of like right here behind me. But the problem was it was always covered in junk, and as you can see, it still is, but most of that stuff is waiting to be put in a cabinet, storage cabinet when they come. But what I plan to do with that is keep it open, and now it's not going to be so much of a problem for me to put, like a full-size resin river table together and actually get it cast. So that's one project that's kind of on the to-do list for this year. Oh, sorry about that. I'm still kind of figuring out the cameras and everything in here. All right, so you guys have seen the shop a little bit. Like I said, I'll do a full shop tour and kind of go through some of the stuff. The funny thing was, it was really amazing. This was a long process. It took me a long time to actually figure out the configuration. I just literally sat in here and stared at stuff, and like, I've repositioned things like 100,000 times at this point. It's taken like almost a month, I would say, from start to finish when I started tearing stuff up. And it's interesting because I found a lot of things that I didn't even realize were just, I don't know what I was thinking kind of things. And I'm like, why don't I just put this here? It'd be like 10 times easier. So it was kind of a fun process. It kind of sucked because it was a lot of work. I lost a lot of time, from actually getting work done, but whatever. I had time to do it. So anyway, let's see here. Yeah, I'll send it to you. No, my wife would get mad at me. All right, so I'm actually going to turn these little lights on under here because it adds a little bit more light. So what we're going to do is we got the wood, the burl chunks, and the molds. I can't talk today. First one of the year, so I'm a little bit rusty and it's been a while. But we got those heating up in the oven. One thing that I want to do right now though is actually get these things hot glued down. So let's get our new. One thing that I want to do is get like a pull-out keyboard drawer maybe, so that my mouse and everything will be, well, I don't know. We'll have to kind of play with that, but what am I doing? Casting view. Yeah, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So I think this is going to be a lot easier to see what I'm doing. What I used to do was actually do a lot of things on the assembly table just because I could get the camera in there, and that's why I changed around how things were set up in here. It just made more sense to just use the actual casting area rather than have to move. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the hot glue on the edge. That way it's not on the bottom. You generally just kind of, well, actually I'm going to put it on the bottom because I'm going to cut that off when I cut the blanks up. So I'm just going to kind of smear a little bit of hot glue down here. Make sure there's no strings hanging. And then just kind of pop this in, hold it in place a little bit, and you're good. Hot glue will stick to HDPE a little bit, but the nice thing is it demolds, or it pulls away easy. It's not like it's really stuck to it, since HDPE is kind of non-stick. So we got these guys in there so they won't float or move when we start pouring. I'm a little bit under the weather today. I started feeling a little funky last night, and it's continuing today a little bit, but I should be okay. I feel like exhausted, drained for some reason. One issue that I'm having is I don't have access to any air hoses near me right now. Since I moved the lathe further away, the air hose that goes to the lathe is not long enough anymore. And I don't have a nozzle over here, so anyway, I just blew out some dust in there. Let's see here. Better late than never. Yeah, it's always good to, doesn't matter when you come. Always good to have everybody. So again, I'm just going to drop this guy in there. Hopefully you guys, yeah, you can kind of see what I'm doing. Might be a little better to do the action on this side. You could probably see more. I'll kind of do it, maybe I'll do it like this. Still trying to kind of figure out the angles and stuff of the cameras. I played with it yesterday a little bit, but still got some more playing to do. But I think in the end, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of just set up a camera and I'll know that I'm getting a good angle on stuff. So we got our chunks. Our chunks are glued down. They are locked in place. Again, we'll put those guys in the oven. And let's see. Now, one thing that I want to mention, guys, it's colder than I'm used to in the shop. And I'm finding that Alumilite Clear Slow Set, I have a lot more time than I'm used to, even in the winter. We usually keep our shop at 70, or well, 68 to 70, even all through the winter. But our heater is totally messed up right now. And so luckily the shop doesn't get too cold. It really doesn't probably drop below 50, even, like in the middle of the night. But, we're in the 50s in the shop here, and I just turned, we have a little propane heater thing, and that'll bring it up to 60, 61, it's 59 in my area right now. But one thing that I am doing, and let me switch to the other camera. It is, for Alumilite Clear Slow Set, it's a little colder than I would really want to be casting in. I really don't personally like casting below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's just, I feel better. Resin likes heat. It cures better in heat. So what I have here is a radiant heater, and it's directed at these pressure pots. And so that kind of keeps the temperature, at least it's warming up, part of the pressure pot and kind of keeping, things a little bit warmer than it is just kind of ambient temperature in the shop. Hey, Jen, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. All right, so back to this casting. So let me know if your thoughts on this little camera view where it has kind of a wider angle behind and then kind of a closer. Let me know if there's any changes I should make or thoughts you have, and I'll try and kind of keep an eye on that. And if anybody sees someone saying that I need to look at it, kind of yell at me a little bit. All right, so we need some resin. Let me get my book out. Let's see. Where did I put my book? Ah, here it is. I got to figure out what drawers and stuff. So I got my little notebook thing here. So we're gonna do two different ones. Let's do this one. Uh-oh, my glue didn't stick. The heat might be kind of melting the glue a little bit. Well, that's never happened before. Hold on, guys. I'm going to scrape off the glue that I had on there. There might have been one thing that you have to watch out for. If you've sprayed your molds with mold release, then you're going to have a tough time getting this glue to actually stick to it. So that may be happening right now. So I'm going to scrape off the majority of what I already put on there. And what I'm going to do is, if you have this problem, again, or if you've sprayed your mold, grab a little bit of acetone. Make sure I'm on camera there. And I'm just going to kind of wipe the bottom down here. That should remove any stuff that's on there. I got to plug my hot glue gun back in now. But that acetone should kind of wipe up that stuff, and you should get a better glue bond with your mold. But anyway, what I was going to say is, let's do these just regular burl. It's I think it's a Buckeye burl, I want to say. But it's clear. I didn't add any dyes or anything like that to it. So let's do that one first. And anybody that super chats, you guys get to pick a color. Let's do 3 colors this time. And so Jen gets to pick a color already. If anybody wants to super chat, you'll have priority. Otherwise, we'll kind of make it a free-for-all. Like I said, we're doing one first. We'll do one at a time here. And these are 3 pen blank molds, so just to let you guys kind of know what's happening here. I call it a 3 pen blank mold. It'll cut out 3 pen blanks. It's 5 inches long, 3 inches wide. And I think I make my molds probably like 1.5 inches deep, something like that. I always have to measure these. Let me measure it real quick and just see how deep they are. I like having a little bit of a deeper trough. I don't like them to be super close. Yeah, 1.5 inches deep to the bottom of the mold. So, and I have videos on how to make HDPE molds and all that kind of stuff, where to get the stuff, or if you just want to buy them, we got that too in that video. What temp do I, and how long? So, unfortunately, this oven fluctuates a lot, but if I could make it, if I had my wish, I would get it to 135 Fahrenheit and leave the oven there. And then at that point, I would probably go about 20 minutes to heat the molds, something like that. Mine kind of fluctuates between like 135 and 175. Honestly, this thing's kind of all over the place. I only use this for heating molds though, so it's not that big of a deal. So let's just say on average, I'm at around 150. Generally, I kind of leave them in there for about 15 minutes or so. That's just about how long it takes me generally to work with the resin, get everything prepped, and then get it in the pressure pot, or pour it, I should say. So they usually stay in there about 15 minutes. Now at 150 or 175, that's really too hot if you leave them in there for a long time. It's really not getting it to whatever the temperature is in there. It's more just, it's a little higher than it needs to be. But for the amount of time, for that about 15-minute time span, it's enough to heat the molds perfect. What I like to say is, if you take your mold out and it is like burning, like it is like on fire to your hands, that's too hot. If you can't hold the mold, that's probably too hot, and you don't need them that hot. you'll end up kind of warping the HDPE possibly also. So, you know, if you can get your mold up to about 135, I think you're good to go. Everybody asks about my glue gun. What was... Yeah, I love this glue gun. I'm not sure if somebody... Oh, I don't know. I can't... What were you guys talking about with the glue guns? This glue gun, so this is a DeWalt. I love this thing. It heats up quick and it just works. I hated the cheap ones. I never liked those ones. But this thing works pretty good. There's a couple other brands that do a pretty good job. But this thing, like I said, heats up good. It's not very messy. So if you can find the DeWalt, that's a good way to go. All right, so we should have a better bond. Oh, see, dang it. I should have done that on the other side. Luckily, my hot glue gun is fired up and ready to go. So I'm just gonna wipe off the other side with a little acetone. I don't think I'm gonna mess around scraping the bottom of this thing. I'm just gonna add more. We're gonna move forward. It should be good this time. So this is kind of a drawback though. If you're gonna use hot glue, you really don't want to be using mold release, you know, on the mold. It's not going to really work too well. All right, so that one's good. Hopefully the other one was good. Let me just, yeah, that one's fine. Okay, let's do some, all right, so Jen, what color do you want? And then we got Frank. How's it going, Frank? Let me write some notes down real quick here. So this is the 10th. And we're doing hybrids. Hybrid pen blanks. Number 1, we're doing just Buckeye Burl. We're using my 3 blank mold. These are the notes that I'm writing. I'm just kind of annotating what I'm putting in here. We're using the slow set clear resin. And so those molds, they're about, like I said, 5 by 3. If you want a 1-inch deep brick in there, 300 grams will be perfect. Now we've stuck a bunch of burl in there, so we definitely don't need that much. Let's do like, I don't know, I just kind of wing it. You could do the rice method where you fill it with rice and do all that, but I usually just wing it and kind of overshoot. Let's just go with 200 grams. That should be enough. I think let's do 220 just to make sure. And with Alumilite Clear slow set, that's it's 1-to-1 by weight. So 110 grams of part A, 110 of part B. And then we're going to do 3 colors. So we got, let me scroll down over here. We got red. So Pearlex red. The only red that I have from Pearlex is called, do I even have it? I have one called Super Russet. Is that the red that you like? That's the only one that I got from Pearlex. Otherwise, I like I do like it, but the only other one I have is Blood Red from Caster's Choice. So probably pretty similar, honestly. So let me know, Frank. Hey, Michael, thanks. I appreciate it. And where's Jen here? Did Jen say what color? Green. Apple green. I actually have that. I have a Pearlex. It's literally called Apple Green. That's a good one. And so Frank... she likes red and purple. A red hatter. Oh, nice. I've heard of that. That's cool. Nice. Cortland, are you asking how big my shop is? Is that a question? My shop area is about 800 square feet, I want to say. It's like 20 by 40. some of my stuff kind of extends out. I have some storage of other stuff of mine in the rest of the shop. The entire shop is 4,000 square feet, or 4,300, something like that. But this shop area, where I work, is 800. That's the one. Nice, Jen. Oh, nice. Why is it so loud? Where are you at? Are you at a party? Red Perlex and Alumilite. Nice. Okay, cool. So we got two colors. Let's see here. So I'm actually, the federal contracting made easy brought up pearl white, which I really kind of think red, green, and white would actually be pretty cool. It's almost like an Italian flag. Isn't that what the colors are? I don't know. I kind of like that. Ah, nice. You like the screen and screen. Cool. I thought it'd be kind of nice to have that. Now I have it. I can set it up where I have another view set up because that's just this one for, like, you know, the main action. And I'll probably use this sometimes, but this is also the camera that I'm going to be using at the lathe. I'm probably not going to drag a bunch of different cameras over to the lathe for that. But I don't know. I maybe could. I could probably just turn this other one. Oh, TLF is in. We got silver. All right, we'll go with silver. And then if anybody wants to get in on the next round, you can super chat. And we got a little bit of purple and some kind of purple and red colored burl. So if anybody wants to super chat to get your color, let me know, or, you know, do it, I guess I should say. So we got, what is this? Super russet. We got apple green. And we've got, let's see, silver. So I think my favorite silver, there's a few that are pretty good, but I got to be honest, my favorite, oh, where is it? My favorite one is called Pewter, and it's one of the Alumidust, so Alumilite's brand of stuff. It's over here somewhere. Forgot. I got a couple extra. I got to go and hunt down all my pearl powders and get them into my pearl powder drawer. So this is the one. I like Pewter. I think it's one of the best silvers out there. So we got that one. So Pewter. So why don't we just, let's see here. How does that work? 110. Let's see. So it's about, we're going to go with, let's do just a little bit less pewter. And so we'll do 80 grams of red and green. And then we'll have 60 grams of silver. It's just a little bit less. That just makes it work out perfect. It was a weird, couldn't really divide the 220 by 3 to get a direct number. So we got everything ready to rock here. We got our recipe. We got our pearl powders. So things are a little bit different. I don't know if you guys, so okay, you can see up in the little corner thing. So all of my resins are on the right now, whereas they used to be right here, like right in front of me. So I was always used to, my first instinct is to grab with my left hand. So it's been kind of weird getting used to some of this stuff, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start out with 1 cup. I'm going to mix the total amount. Now, depending on what you're doing, you could do this a couple different ways. I oftentimes will just get 3 different cups for this kind of a situation. That a lot of times, especially the blanks that I make for my shop, a lot of times I'll do it that way, and it's just partly because that's how I've always done it. But you can also just mix up all the resin, you know, in 1 cup, and then, you know, dump it off into, you know, divvy it up into other cups. So zero my scale out. Got my part A, so we need 110. Got 100 there. So I went snowboarding yesterday. That was fun. Oops, I went over, guys. I went over. That's too much. Actually, you know what? We're at 113 or so, so I'm just going to leave it there. That's fine. 113, a little bit more than we needed is not going to hurt anything. So I'm going to add 113 grams of part B now. So these are going to move to, I'm going to put 82, 82, and 62, and that'll equal what we were, the 226. So hopefully you guys understood what we're following that. But anyway, I was saying I went snowboarding yesterday. The snow's it's a little bit thin up there for January, I would say, but it was a pretty good day. I did a kind of a quick one. I had more things. I'm still trying to piece together and finish up, all the things in the shop. So I just went up for a little bit for a few hours, got some turns in, and then came to the shop and worked. So it was pretty fun day. Had a good time. Anna! Magenta. I'll have to think about what magenta is. It's kind of a purple, isn't it? Or a pink? I'm gonna Google. I don't exactly know what color that is. Magenta. Yeah, kind of a pinkish color. I think I got I got something right up your alley, and I actually haven't used it for a while. I got your magenta. No worries. You can measure in any, it doesn't matter what units they are as long as it's accurate. It really doesn't matter. The one thing I will say, grams, there's 28.35 grams per ounce. And so if your scale is only accurate to the nearest ounce, but it can also do grams, then it will just be a little bit more accurate just because of that. But it really doesn't matter what you use. I do grams just because I've been doing it forever. But you can use whatever you want. Whichever method. As long as it's 1-to-1 and you're using a scale, it doesn't really make any difference. All right, so we got that mixed up pretty well, I think. I'm going to give it just one more second here. Now, one thing I do want to mention. So, and most of you guys have kind of heard me talk about, the temperature. A lot of people ask, when do you pour? Or, how do you know when to pour your resin for color swirl? How do you keep the swirls separated? And I had used time for quite a while, and that kind of works, but it's hard to keep it. It's hard to be consistent, because it depends on when you start the clock. And you may mix longer than, this time, rather than, compared to last time. You may have sat there and mixed it longer, which means you're not starting the clock at the, same consistent time, which makes it a little bit of a fallible way to do things. Temperature is a better way to go. It's going to be a little bit more consistent. However, I will say, what I've found, and it's not so much, I would say temperature is the most accurate way, consistent way to do it, but if the temperature in your shop changes somewhat drastically, then and I'm kind of just being picky with getting these things perfect. They don't need to be perfect necessarily with the amounts that I was putting in there, but get them close enough. But what I'm finding, and I knew that I've already noticed this between summer and kind of spring. What ends up happening is if the ambient temperature in your shop changes kind of drastically, so it was like 85, 80, and up to 85 in the shop, my shop, in the summer. And then, in the spring, it dropped down to, it pretty much just hovers around 70 for the rest of the year because we heat it. The problem is the thickness of the resin changes, the viscosity of it in the cooler temperatures. So if you're storing it in 80 degrees compared to 70 degrees, it can kind of change the results that you get, or when you should pour and how you should pour things. So I just want to mention that. And then now I'm down to 60 degrees. It's a lot thicker, just kind of in the cup. So I just kind of wanted to mention that people ask me that, and there's no answer, you know, exactly when and how to do things. You'll have to kind of test it because it depends on the temperature in your shop. It depends on what you're trying to go for, and it depends on your technique of how you're pouring things, because, you know, your technique may be better at, you know, having a thinner viscosity resin. So in that case, you'd probably want to pour it sooner than someone that's better at pouring it. You know, their technique just allows them to get better results when it's you know, thinner or thicker, whatever, whichever one, the opposite of whatever I was saying. So hopefully you guys followed that. I'm trying to think and do things at the same time. So what I'm going to do is, we got 80 grams total. What we're going to do is we're going to load it up. I'm going to go with a half teaspoon of each one of these. That's going to be quite a bit of powder. And what I got here is a 1/4 teaspoon mixing spoon thing. So I'm adding the silver here, or it's pewter, alumidust. 2 scoops is half a teaspoon. Probably could have got away with a 1/4 teaspoon in this case, but purple or a galaxy color, nice. OJ, what's up, dude? Sorry, man, I've been kind of like talking and trying to mix stuff. Welcome to the stream, buddy. Good to see you. What color do you want? You get to pick one of the colors on the next round. So we got our super russet that I'm dropping in here. Magenta is blue-red. That's maroon. Maroon is blue-red. Magenta is kind of a pinkish color. So you'll have to let me know. Do you want maroon or do you want pink-ish? All right, so we got our green in there. There we go. Okay, and I got to put these guys back where I found them. Keep this stuff nice and organized. All right, so what I'm finding, so we were just talking about temperatures and all that kind of stuff. For color swirls right now at 60 degrees, the way that I pour things, I'm kind of waiting till about 95 degrees, and that seems to be working just fine for me. I kind of like going a little higher when the temperature in the shop's higher because it's starting out a little thinner. And then in the summer, I usually go like 120 for Alumilite clear. So that's just my numbers. Those aren't, that's a good starting point. But for the most part, I think that everybody just needs to kind of test things out a little bit. See what you like and what works well. Especially, like I said, for what you're trying to... You like the new setup? Nice, thanks, Lou. Kind of playing with things. Yeah, I'm using the slow set. I don't use the regular. Let's see here. Just making sure I didn't miss OJ. Got to see what color OJ wants. Let me know what color for the next round, OJ. So what was I saying? Sorry, I'm a little bit, like I said, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, kind of not super sick, but a little bit. The brain's not all here, so I'm just talking, and who knows what I'm talking about. Oh, the temperatures, yeah. So 95 is working for me right now, but like I said, I adjust that depending on what's going on. So I think that, you know, it's probably best to just try some things out. I think in general, for most resins, and you guys in the chat, let me know if you guys have a different experience, but I think that most people that I've seen for the temperatures, again, for keeping colors separated, for color swirl stuff, I think most people kind of fall somewhere between like 90, 95 and like 130. And it kind of, you know, depending on the resin that you're using and all that kind of stuff. So right now we're at about 77. One thing that I'll mention, this one's pretty cool, this big cup, and it's because it's kind of flat. It might have actually been a better idea to put it in something where there's a little bit more bulk mass than just this kind of thin stuff at the bottom. It's probably going to take a little longer for the silver to reach, you know, the same temperature. Not a big deal, it's fine. I'll probably just pour when these two are ready, but just to let you guys know. OJ wants blue or teal. You like that, let's see here. You like the Caster's Choice teal, right? That's a really good color. You want that one? That's always a good one to go with. We can go with the blue if you like too. We got all those. Milan, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Well, I'm glad to share the knowledge and have fun with you guys, you know. It's pretty cool that I can kind of just, I mean, I would have been making these hybrids anyway. Why not do, hang out with you guys for a little bit. Oh, one other little announcement that I can make. So you guys that are Patreon members, we will be firing up those patron-only live streams soon. And I think what I'm going to do is it's going to be the first Friday. So we'll probably start it in February. And it'll be first Fridays will be patron-only things. So, yeah, I'm still trying to figure out exactly how to do that. But you guys, I'll let you guys know. And we might even do like a little bit of a practice run sometime between now and the first Friday. All right? Yeah, Texas heat. I would say in general, heat is a little bit better to deal with than cold. Cold, you can kind of run into like curing problems. Heat, the main thing with heat is you just have less time. If it's too hot, then you can kind of run into problems. Humidity with Alumilite, that's problematic. But just, the warmer temperature in general, that's not usually that big of a deal. And, you can use slower setting resins to give you more time. And then in the case of, if you're dealing with, higher humidities and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, if it's like, 80, 90, 100% humidity where you're at, you're probably going to run into some issues with Alumilite clear. Probably more so if you're going for dead clear castings or transparent. That's where the big problems come from. But you may want to pick an epoxy that can handle that moisture if you're doing that. So in general, somebody, I don't think it was you, but somebody emailed me and was kind of saying like, oh, I don't think I may not be able to cast at all because I live on the coast. And you just need to pick the right product. You'll be able to get it done though. You couldn't get those out, Kevin? You do have to spray the heck out of them with mold release. Ray, what's up, buddy? Ray's out, and you're in the Houston area, right? You got high humidity where you're at, and you're doing casting with no problems. And you use Alumilite too, don't you? What are your thoughts on that? I'd love to hear. The biggest problem is, I can talk all day about, humidity and what I kind of recommend you do. But to tell you the truth, Nevada, we don't get humidity levels above 20%. So in my shop. So we don't even have humidity here. So you can chill the resin. That's another way to go. Oh, 120. Yeah. You definitely don't want to store your resin in super high heats. Bring them inside somewhere air conditioned, put them in the fridge, something like that. Let's see, it's Day, I'm not sure what your name is, Davis, Day FFD. So equal parts, so 1 to 1. So if you're mixing up 200 grams, like in this case, we had 200 grams and I mixed it in a cup. So equal parts would be 1 to 1. So 110 grams of part A, 110 grams of part B. Or there's equal parts by volume where you're going to take a volumetric measurement. So, you're going to put equal amounts by the volume, not by the weight of it. So you'll need a special cup that has, has graduations on it, a graduated cup to measure out the volume. So we're at 84, 85 degrees right now. I told you guys it takes a while. I didn't even start the clock, but I mean, we've been sitting here for probably at least 10 minutes, at least. And 85, so it's going to take a little longer in the winter. If you're in a really cold area, I said that I don't really use Alumilite Clear regular set. There's no reason not to. It works exactly the same as slow set. It's just I buy 10 gallons at a time, and typically we have heater, running in the winter. And I'm not going to buy regular set, which only allows me like 10 gallons of regular set, which only gives me 7 minutes of working time. There are some things that I do need the full 12, for the slow set. And so it's just a matter of if I'm going to buy massive amounts of it, I'm just going to buy one or the other. But for people that aren't buying 10 gallons at a time or whatever, you're just buying it a gallon at a time. If the regular set version of Alumilite might be a better choice in the winter for you, because it's going to reach higher temperatures when it cures on its own, whereas slow set was developed to not go as high so you can pour it in gigantic amounts. Now, if you're pouring huge amounts, though, if it depends on what you're doing. If you're pouring 64 ounces at a time, then you need to go with slow set every time. But for pen blanks, smaller stuff like this, the regular set might be a better choice in cooler temperatures. I'm just banking on the fact that someday our heater should be fixed. Hopefully it won't be summer before that happens. All right, I could probably pour this because it's pretty thick, and I don't think it's really gonna mix, like bleed. That's what we're waiting for. We don't want the colors to bleed together. But I kind of have a feeling, I don't really think it's gonna. We're at 89 now, so we'll just wait a little bit longer. The trolls, who's troll? Is there trolling going on? Oh, the skateboard. Can you guys? Let me switch to the intro view. Is it? Oh, you can't see it. Yeah. So this skateboard was done by a guy named Alan Brune. He's in Denmark, and he does the most amazing like street art kind of. I don't know what you'd exactly call that type, but it's the Sublime logo, kind of Sublime inspired. I commissioned him to do that. He does some awesome stuff. He's actually done painted tubes for pen blanks for me in that kind of style. It's pretty cool. He's a cool guy. So look for Mr. Brown DK on Instagram, and you can see some of the stuff that he does. He does all kinds of cool stuff. His painting is just amazing. We actually commissioned him to paint a picture of the wedding beach, the beach we got married on, in that style. My wife and I. It's so awesome. He's a cool guy. All right, I think we're good to go now. So let me just test let me look at the temperature. It's starting to get really thick, and for me, I don't like it to be ridiculously globby. Some people like it, that's fine, but I don't need that. So the nice thing also is I can zoom in for like right here for this kind of thing. And so hopefully, it'd be nicer if I could get a tighter like above angle, which I guess I could. There, that's a little bit better. So you can kind of see me. Let's go a little bit wider than that. You can kind of see what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to pour multiple passes. There's lots of different techniques and ways you can do these kind of color swirl things. I'm just going to do lots of small pours. I find that works pretty good. Look at how thick it is. So the easy way to do it is just keep pouring lots of different, passes basically with each color. Eventually you'll fill up that void. You can do bigger, you know, slightly larger amounts, and you'll get slightly different results, but there's lots of different ways to do this kind of color swirl technique. A lot of times I just, you know, I tell people it really kind of just depends. Like you need to test it out, see what you like. Do a couple different types of tests with different temperatures, different kind of techniques, and see which one, you know, produces the results that you're looking for, because there's lots of different types of color swirl results, let's say, or looks. A lot of the people that are, you know, like they make pen blanks for kind of a living, you can usually kind of tell whose blanks are which by just kind of looking at the swirl patterns. And it's because there's lots of different ways to do things, and you get different results by altering the way that you're pouring it slightly. So I mean, this is not necessarily the way that I pour my production blanks, but it is the way I do some of them, you know, so anyway, just I always like to mention that. See, like I said, this is a little thicker than I prefer. It's a little bit harder to kind of swirl around when it's this thick. All right, so that ought to be pretty good, I think. Well, let me add a little bit more. Let me just top it off. The resin's getting extremely thick at this point, so I think we're going to need to get it in the pressure pot soon. Now, the other thing you can do is you can add, you know, you've swirled it around a little bit just by the way you poured it, but you can also kind of add a little bit of swirl with a stick. You want to be kind of careful when you do that, but that'll also kind of give you a little extra swirling. Now, one thing that I had to do with these pressure pots, so you can see, these clamps kind of get in the way a little bit. So that's one little downside to doing it exactly like this, mounting your pressure pot this way. Got resin on my finger, but you can kind of see it's nice that it's right in front of me. I don't have to move too far. It's secured to a table that's not moving. Yeah, so I kind of like this setup. And my air hose is right next to me. And we're good to go. Whew! Black Friday Illumilite, nice. Yeah, they had a great deal on it. So did I might have missed Ray. Sorry, I was kind of focused on what's going on. The color of red is Super Russet by Perlex. That's what I used. Hopefully, yeah, you can see that. Not a bad color. All right, so I got a little bit of resin on my finger, so I'm just gonna kind of wipe that off. Get this hose out of the way. And these guys out of the way. All right, so the next batch, we got, let's see here. We got magenta, teal, and purple. Magenta, teal, and purple. So, just for anybody that didn't see this earlier, this is what we're going to be doing on the next one. We're only going to do 2 batches today. I only had these guys ready. This is purple dye stabilized Buckeye Burl, I believe, and then this is kind of red and purple. So we're going to be putting those, like I said, teal, purple, and magenta colors. So I'm going to be using Caster's Choice Teal. It's hard to tell if I'm getting That's weird. My screen, the screen on my camera is like blown out. I can't tell. That's weird. That's really weird. All right. So anyway, you can see that Caster's Choice teal. I couldn't see what was going on. It looked like there was a glare on it, but I don't think there was. And so magenta. Let me see if I can go and find what Anna said about purple or maroon, or like a pinkish or maroon. I didn't see that. Well, let me just pull out a couple colors and show you what I had in mind. I have a kind of a pinkish purple. They call it light purple. It's an Alumilite one. What do you think about that color? It's one of my favorites, actually, and I kind of always forget that I have this, but that one's a pretty good color in resin. It's almost, it almost has some interference properties to it. It's kind of a cool one. So we got that. We got teal and then purple. So we got some really cool purples. I mean, you know, honestly, for purple, I like Midnight Purple and Plum Crazy. Let's go with Midnight because we got kind of, well, I think that burl's going to be pretty dark. So let's go with Plum Crazy. It's a little bit of a lighter purple. It's kind of galactic, I think. It's kind of a cool one. So let me scroll back down. Did Anna see that? It's magenta? Nice. Yes. I thought I knew what I was doing. I wasn't sure, but I thought. All right, so just writing some notes. Again, we're going with the 3 blank mold. We're going to go with slow set clear. And probably about the same amount of resin. I think that was pretty good, actually. Should be, oh, where's the camera? I don't know. I think we'll be good with, there's maybe a little bit less in that one. Let's go with 250 total, 250 grams, so 125 times 2. And then we're going teal. We're going light purple. That's the name of this is in just this random thing, but it's not anything special. I just put it in a smaller one because I bought a big thing of it. So this is what it is, Illumidust light purple. I didn't want to have to open that thing, that big jug of it every time I used it. So light purple. Again, Caster's Choice teal, and then Caster's Choice Plum Crazy. All right, so 250. Let's do a little bit more teal than the 2 purple pinks. So let's do like 70, yeah, like 60% teal. So I'm going to split off 150 grams for that one, and then we'll do 20 and 20%, which is 50 grams of each of the other two. Well, actually, I don't like that just because of the temperature. What's going to end up happening is we're going to have to wait forever for those 50-gram cups. So let's scratch that. We'll do it even because we're going to get better results, I think. So we're looking at about 80 grams. So 80, 80. Whoops, 250 minus 160. 80, 80, and 90. So we'll do 90 grams of teal and then 80 of the other two. All right? Sometimes you got to just make things up on the fly. All right, so I'm going to get a big cup here. Really can't wait to get my big cabinets in here. I actually have the one that's going behind me. It's actually, I just picked it up today from Home Depot. Home Depot's got a lot of good stuff. Lots of cabinets and all that kind of stuff. If you're looking for storage, they got a pretty good selection of stuff there. I was pretty happy with it. Found a couple decent deals on things too. All right, so we got our cup. What are we talking about? Yeah, you do not want to use a pressure cooker for casting stuff. You want to use pressure pots. You can get, on the cheap end, they got Harbor Freight. And then, I'm using CA Technologies. They're a pretty good brand, like a high quality brand. If you want the safest pot on the planet, the Binks or anything that's ASME certified is what you would want. For the Harbor Freight pots, the max that I would ever go in one of those, the max PSI for the Harbor Freight pot is 60, is what the sticker says. My personal rule of thumb is to stay 10 PSI below whatever the sticker is on any pot. That should just give you, you should be well within the limits of that pot at that point. I know other people that don't follow that, but the big thing is these things can become dangerous if you abuse them. So, you definitely do not want to go over the max. One little stipulation though, and this is kind of just wording obviously, but I think it actually does matter. With the Harbor Freight pots, it says max PSI, which I think I kind of read as like, do not go over that. Whereas the CA Technologies pots say max working pressure. That's a little bit different than maximum PSI. So I kind of feel pretty comfortable about CA Technologies pots. And maybe it is just wording and it doesn't mean anything, but a lot of times little changes in wording do mean a lot. So just kind of be careful with pressure pots. But the minimum that you need for resin casting is 40. So you need to get it above that. I don't know of any resins that claim below that will work. But below that, generally, you're not going to actually remove the air bubbles. So just work within the means of your pot. Most of them will go up to about 40 or 50. I recommend getting something that'll go to 50. I don't really recommend starting at 40 psi because that is the absolute minimum, and it's really hard to get these things to the point where they're not going to lose some amount of air pressure. So you really don't want to ever drop below 40. Much better to start at 50, and that gives you a range where, if it's not dead sealed, it loses, let's say, 5 psi over an hour, you're not going to ruin the batch then, right? I think that 50 is a pretty good number. So the Harbor Freight's fine. It'll work. There's other ones that, varying price levels and all that kind of stuff. All right, so let's see, 125 times 2. Is that right? What am I doing? Yeah, 125 times 2. Oh, we're almost out of resin, guys. Good thing I didn't decide to do more casting today. 125. 120. I'm sneaking up on it here. 120. There we go, 125. And we'll get the part B out here. Make sure that's zeroed. So 125, 123, we're almost there. 24. Just one more little squirt. There we go. 125. And I think this time what I'm going to do, another little trick, if you're dealing with cooler temperatures, I'm going to mix this up in this cup, and I'm going to leave it in this cup for a while. It's a bigger mass, which means it's going to generate. Let me zoom out a little bit. It'll generate a little bit more heat faster in a bigger mass. So I'm going to kind of keep an eye on the temperature. Once it reaches, 80 something, 82, I want to get it into other cups and then mix my stuff in. But it can kind of help speed up the process a little bit, so you're not just sitting around waiting. We'll have to see. I don't know how much this is going to speed it up. Almost would be better to pour this into it's tough because I need to find a cup that it'll fit in, but the more kind of a mass that you can keep it at, the better. So this is kind of a wide cup is what I'm saying. It'd probably be a little bit more, this may work better in a thinner cup, but skinnier diameter, smaller diameter cup. Okay, so just so you can kind of see the viscosity a little bit, that's what it looks like just mixed to start out with. It's already pretty thick just because of the temperature in the shop. When it's, even just 70, Alumilite Clear Slow Set is thinner, definitely thinner than that. And then when it's above 70, 75, 80, it thins out a lot. It's a pretty thin resin. So I got to go get some more small cups. And again, this time I think what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pour the third color into a smaller cup this time also to help kind of promote it, warming up a little bit faster. But I'm going to actually hit the clock. I know I didn't do that at the right time exactly, but this will give us an idea of how long it's taken. Tornado alarm. Oh man, get safe. Sheesh. Just got the email. How's it? I'm not sure. I can't think of which email, Gary, but I must have emailed you. Sorry about that. Can't remember what we were talking about, is what I'm saying. Let's see if I can find it. You'll have to let me know, Gary. You're in the middle of a man. What these tornadoes? Yak's here. What's up, dude? So's Brian. What's up, man? Hey, thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. Sorry, we're just kind of sitting here waiting, doing nothing, but gotta wait for the resin to heat up. So we're already at 74 right now. It's only been a couple minutes. I think this is gonna heat up a little bit faster for us, leaving it in a bigger mass for a little bit before we dump it off into the different cups. There's all kinds of little tricks and things you can do. How's the shop, Yak? Are you in yet? Yak's got a new shop. There's tornadoes and coyotes, and man, it's getting crazy. David's expecting lots of snow. Jeez. Sean's asking, do you think the manufacturer would put the max PSI just before blowing the thing up? To answer your question, the Harbor Freight pots used to say 90 PSI was the max. So, you know, these cheap Chinese-made, you know, pressure pots, honestly, they probably don't really undergo testing. It's not like they know, you know, exactly when they're going to blow up. They may do, you know, minor amounts of testing, but yes, I do believe that they don't know what number to put on there. The thing is that you have to understand is these pressure pots are not made for resin casting pressure, you know, like 90 PSI kind of, you know, higher pressures. Their original intention is for spray paint, you know, like spraying paint out of, which you only need to go to like 30, maybe 20 or 30 PSI. So you have to understand what these things were, you know, the original intention of these products. There's just really no need to go to 50. So they slap a number on them and, you know, you never know. That's why the ASME rated pots, they undergo rigorous testing. So whatever the number is on that thing, you're good. You know, you're good to go all the way up to whatever that max PSI is. I think the CA Technologies pots, they do test these. They're extremely well built. They just don't pay for ASME testing, and they pass that savings on to the customer. So that's my thing, you know, but you should be fine. I mean, as long as you're staying below that max PSI, you should be okay. But no, I don't actually think that Harbor Freight really does a whole lot of testing or anything like that. So I definitely stay well below the max PSI when I'm using a cheap pot. Cheaper pots, you know, it's not like they're magically, you know, just cheaper, like they somehow made a deal. Cheap pressure pots are made with cheap materials and lower quality control standards. So frankly, I don't really, you know, I don't trust things that I'd much rather stay safe, especially with those. So we're at about 80 degrees right now. I'm going to start pouring these off. So we did 80, we want 80. Let's see, what is it? 80, 80, and 90. So I'm going to zero it out. I'm going to do 90 in the first cup here. 90 grams. That's going to be the teal. Went a little bit over on that one, but we'll be okay. We're going to go about 80 or so in this one. And I think I'm actually just going to leave the rest in this cup. I know I mentioned that I was thinking about pouring it out, but the problem is what ends up happening is I'm going to lose some resin when I pour it into this, and then I'm going to lose even more pouring this out. So I think we're just going to, I think the leaving it in this cup for the first, you know, it's been about 6 minutes. I think that's good enough. And what I'm going to do, we'll go with that half teaspoon of all these again. So plum, let's see, which one's higher? Plum Crazy will go in here. And our teal is going to go in the 90 gram cup, the bigger one. So again, I'm using a quarter teaspoon measuring spoon, so 2 scoops will be half teaspoon. think I'm just going to put 1 teaspoon in this other cup. We'll just make it a big one. And I'm gonna note that in my notes for all 3 of these. So 1/2 teaspoon heaping 1/4 teaspoon for the light purple, and then 1/2 teaspoon for Plum Crazy. Get us a couple extra mixing sticks here. Start mixing this in. Where's the lab coat? Actually, I should wear it. It's freezing in here. I don't know. I'll have to find that. I like wearing a t-shirt. Like in the shop this week, you know, it's been kind of cold, and some days I'm not really like actually doing much, so I'll wear a sweatshirt. And frankly, I don't even like wearing a sweatshirt in here. It's just much more comfortable just wearing a t-shirt. Besides this one, did you see my t-shirt? You guys can't really see the t-shirt on that view. We'll go to the intro view. No mistake. Oh, I moved this thing up a little bit. No mistake, happy accidents. I mean, really, this is even better than a lab coat. I got Bob Ross on my t-shirt today. He's the man. All right, we got our Plum Crazy mixed up, so let's switch back to the other view. Got to be honest, guys. I told you I was feeling a little under the weather. My throat is starting to kind of not like me right now. That's no fun. 2 things I really hate. That's injuries and being sick. Being sick is just the worst. I don't just kind of get sick. When I get sick, I get sick. So hopefully it's just a short thing or just an irritation in my throat that'll go away and it's not like an actual sore throat. All right, so here's the light purple. It's kind of an interesting mix. It has some weird kind of colors to it and some shimmer. It almost has an interference kind of look to it. It's an interesting color. I haven't used it for a while, so I'm glad we got to use that today. Plum Crazy, that's just a beautiful purple. Everybody loves Plum Crazy. And a little bit of teal. This should be a pretty cool looking blank, I think. Or brick of blanks. So let's see, where are we at here? Temperature wise. I mean, frankly, yeah, I think I'm going to pour it about... I think I'm going to pour now because this stuff's thick enough. I don't really think it's going to bleed that much. I don't know. I think it'll work a little bit better at this viscosity. All right, so I think this is going to be pretty cool with those 2 slightly different kind of purple-pink colors together. Sometimes that can give you just putting, you know, different colors, you know, the same color but shades of the same color in blanks can really produce some awesome looking blanks. So if you ever kind of like, I'm not sure which color I want to put with these, give that a try. Try a couple different shades of red, or you know, something like that, or maybe a couple shades of one color and then some like accent, like metallic or something like that. A lot of times you'll be really surprised. You get some pretty cool results doing that. Add just a little bit. We probably mixed up a little bit too much resin here. Might be able to get a PVC pipe as well. I don't have one ready though, unfortunately. So I'm just gonna kind of mix this around, give it a little bit of a swirl in the middle. Maybe something down here just to kind of disrupt the pattern. That's actually hard. All right, so we got that done. So what I'm going to do is we're going to dump these together because we still have quite a bit of resin left. I'm going to pour them all into the same cup here. And I didn't prepare a mold. I didn't have anything, you know, I didn't warm it up or do anything, but we got a 2 blank silicone mold that'll work just fine here. So I just gave that a little bit of a swirl. And I don't think this one's going to fill up. Oh, yeah, it'll be pretty close to a full blank. Pretty close. It's almost there. All right, and then I'm going to get my little rack out here. Put this guy on the top, this guy on the bottom, and pop it in the pressure pot. There we go. And I take mine to 70 psi. These are CA Technologies. The max working pressure is 80. So again, my rule of thumb is 10 below. Whatever the, what am I doing here? Whatever the max is. So we got it all done. I can't wait to see how those blanks turn out. Thank you guys all for joining the fun, for coming up with the colors. Thank you to all the super chatters. So here's a couple things that are going to be going on here. So I think the first video, regular video that I do this year is probably going to be that shop tour. Like I said, for anybody that didn't see the kind of intro, if you want to go back and watch the beginning of this, I kind of showed you a little bit about what's going on with the shop. And if you didn't know, I've been kind of redoing the shop. I pretty much gave it a full-on makeover, rearranging things to try and increase efficiency. So I'll go through and kind of, you know, walk you through some of the things a little bit more in depth in that video. So I'm working on that first. I am waiting for a couple extra cabinets before I can get that video done. So there might be like a how-to or a tips video before that, depending on what's going on. I got a couple ideas for that. So be looking for that. I'll be firing up the videos though soon, the like normal videos. live streams are back in action. We're going to be doing those every Friday. But we're going to be making a little bit of a change. So for people that are Patreon members, the people supporting the show through Patreon, we're going to be doing the first Friday stream is going to be a patron only stream. And I'll be doing kind of more of like a hangout Q&A, and it's like more focused on that audience is going to be smaller. And so what I was trying to do is make sure that I could, really help people out. I'm doing a lot of things on these normal ones, and so I can answer questions here and there, but a lot of times it's kind of hard for me to kind of keep up with it. So that was just kind of a focused type thing for the top supporters over on Patreon. We're going to kind of hang out first Fridays, and then I'll probably do some sort of a little bit of a demo. So that's going to change. First Friday's going to be patron only. But the other 3 are going to be just like we've been doing them. And then I'll just be getting some videos done as soon as I can. Like I said, I was waiting for the shop to get kind of fixed up so I can actually work on stuff. And for those of you who are following me on Facebook and Instagram, I really apologize for like pretty much being like MIA, like absent on those. But the problem is when I get really focused on something, which I was really focused on trying to get this shop done, nothing else is in my head. So I just wasn't keeping up on it. So I apologize for that. I'll be more present over on Instagram and Facebook from now on. And again, as I mentioned in the beginning, the SoCal Pen Turners Gathering is happening February 29th and March 1st. And that's in Glendale, California. So LA area. If anybody's interested in that, definitely head over. Let me grab that link again for you guys that are here right now, just in case you missed it earlier. So I'll put that in the chat, and I'm also going to put links to this and the Facebook group for the SoCal Pen Turner Gathering in the show notes for the replay. So for people coming back later. But there's that link if you want to check it out, see what's going on. I think it's only like $40 to enter or like register. And there's going to be all kinds of demos and tons of vendors. It's going to be a really good time. I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't been to one of the pen turning gatherings anywhere yet, but I'm looking forward to this because I heard that they are really awesome. Hope you guys can make it. If anybody, especially if you're anywhere on the West Coast, it's going to be the place to be, I think. So let's see here. Mike McEwen, how's it going, buddy? He's going to be in Maker Central in London. Are you still going? You said you were going. You weren't sure yet. I think. I'm not sure if you were sure, but we are sure. We got our plane tickets, so we're definitely headed there. So, and Maker Central's coming up in May. So let's see here. Is there anything else that I need to mention? I don't think so. I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend. Get in the shop. Go and do some resin casting. And other than that, have a great night, guys. So thanks for joining the fun on the live stream, and I will see you guys all next Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time for another round of live stream casting.